Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd, the podcast where three friends, three amigos, three Bambinos come together to talk about nerd shit. Your weekly podcast where you get to sit around and have friends. Us. It's me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me is
Ed Bull. And
that's right. That's it. Poor Miguel's not with us today, but he will be with us next week to discuss more things. But we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about Asteroid City today. We're also going to give our quick reactions of Secret Invasion, and then we're going to do a little bit of what we're into. I think it's going to be a quick episode. It won't be, I think, a 2.5, 3 hour episode, right?
Yeah. You know what? Pending technical difficulties, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Well, you know, it's the summertime, Ed, and the biggest thing about the summer is the movies, the blockbuster movies. It's all the big blockbuster CGI in your face, boom, blam, explosions. It's a hell of a time to be alive. And so every summer we do a movie wager, and we're monitoring how well these movies are doing. We all bet which movies would be number one. So I'm going to hand it off to Ed, giving us the box office update. Ed, what is the box office update? Yes, you're the bookkeeper. Right. Where are the movies standing?
All right, man. Well, this was kind of a quiet weekend that we just had. The biggest release was Asteroid City, which we're going to be talking about later. And I want to give a little shout out to this little movie because it opened to a limited release of 6 theaters and made 890 odd 100,000. That
6 theaters
opening weekend, and 6 theaters, and I did the math. That's a lot. That's like nearly $22,000 per theater.
I went there for the limited release, June 16th. That's when it was limited, LA, New York, and it was a good crowd. It was packed. It had some people.
I had a good crowd too. I had a really good crowd. So so. You know, it is very much still a Wes Anderson film. It didn't break for books or anything, but this last weekend it finally got its numbers up to a comfortable $11 million.
Honestly, though, I expected it to be 5 or 6 million. So I was.
No, I'm glad it's kind of getting a good reception so far.
It is,
and you know, I always think it's odd when they release a Wes Anderson movie in the summer because it just gets lost in the bigger movies that we were just talking about, you know. But such as it is, there it is, in last place right now. But you'd never know; it could make another couple of hundred. But
truthfully, it came out it was full. It wide release. It came out. What was it? Here, looking at my calendar here, June 23rd, and there wasn't really anything I think popping up around that time. So
no, that's what I mean. That was the biggest pull. Oh, there was No Hard Feelings, the new kind of rom-com with Jennifer Lawrence, which didn't do too
very
bad,
different movies.
Very different movies, but I mean that seems to be doing okay too. But I don't think it was on any of our radars.
No, we didn't check up on that one.
Not for this, but yeah. I don't think it's going to again break the books or anything.
Right.
I think the only reason that I have Asteroid City in conversation is because Miguel had it on one of his on his
dark
rankings. Horses.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's a dark horse, so even his confidence wasn't 100%. So, as it stands, Asteroid City is in last place with $11 million. But to quickly go through the rankings so far, at number 1, we have Guardians of the Galaxy, which is still in the box office. It's at $351 million. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at $319 million. And climbing, it just that was the number 1 movie this last weekend. So
climbing, this thing might take over Guardians.
It might. I feel confident that it might, actually.
This might be the number 1 movie of the summer.
Wow. It might. And hey, I'm sorry I underestimated it, but
me too. I did too.
There you go. What are you going to do? So right after Spider-Man is The Little Mermaid. It's just kind of slowing down a little bit at 271. After that, it's Fast X. That is officially out of the top 10 box office now. And it bowed out at 144 million. It might make 145, 146
maybe, because
in the long run.
It's now released on Paramount, on
exactly.
Peacock. so people can just watch it that way. It's streaming.
Exactly. That, which took no time at all. So, yep, that is probably going to stop there. Right behind it is Transformers. Rise of the Beasts at 124 million. And I was thinking, like, I want that to do better than Fast X, but then I was thinking, no, actually, I had Transformers as my number 10. So if it stays where it's at, I'll be safe.
I think I had mine. Let's see, Louise, Transformers. Oh shit, it's my wild card. Okay.
Yeah, but Miguel didn't have it at all. But I knew. I mean, those movies usually make a little bit of money, but I think it'll peter out at 130, 135. I think it'll be a little bit below.
I agree. It's coming out on streaming in the middle of July on Paramount Plus, and this movie was actually a little bit better than I think it's like kind of a previous movies. I saw this this like early morning one. Yeah. Remember, I texted you guys. I was like, I'm going to the movies at 10 a.m. And
that's right. And that's what it was.
Yeah, I sent an emoji. I sent a GIF of Optimus Prime. That's what I was.
I missed that. I missed that GIF. I'm so sorry. I do pay attention to our text messages.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I just first when I saw the second or third trailer, first when I first saw the trailer, I was like, okay. And then I saw the second or third trailer, like the battle scene, and like, mind you, this, like, I watched the Transformers cartoon, I watched Beast Wars. I have the Optimus Prime Lego, so I have affinity to it. But I really didn't get back into this universe after maybe like the first or maybe the second movie. After that, they've made like 6 of them. I haven't really tuned into them. I know they haven't been that great. And I know at one point, Optimus Prime was an asshole to the Dinobots. He was basically like, follow me or I'll kill all of you kind of situation. But this one kind of is a little bit different and is runs away from the bad Bayisms, the bad Michael Bayisms, the tropes that he loves to cling on to.
Yeah, I think that franchise was desperately in need of, right? I mean, Bumblebee was considered a good movie, right?
Exactly. So it's kind of refreshing. It's like relying on these characters. I mean, like it's not the best, obviously, but like it's still a fun movie to enjoy, and it wasn't as bad, And I think that's why it's doing so well in the box office. It's like, oh well,
Yeah, I think what it's doing about what I expected it to do. So I knew it would make a easy 100 mil. It was just where it landed after Fast X. So, you know what? I've been kind of checked out of Transformers for a while, but everybody tells me that Bumblebee was good. So I
haven't even seen that one.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, no, if there was one I was going to check out, it'd probably be that one.
Okay.
But there you go. Back to the box office after Transformers is our little box office darling, The Flash.
Oh my god!
Currently at 89 million. Man, I will say I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's weird, right? It's weird.
I feel like and to be fair, I mean, I understand somewhat. It's just like I didn't expect it to be this bad. Like I understand that people are tired of this franchise. I think I think they're, for all its controversies, people are put off by that. But furthermore, I feel like a lot of people feel like, it's not going to go anywhere. So what's the point? Also, I don't think it's so good as to merit repeat viewings. Personally, I know obviously you did, but they also left you.
It was a special circumstance.
Yeah, they left you on a cliffhanger essentially.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's rough to be honest. It still hasn't cracked 100 mil its second weekend.
You'd think it'd crack 100 at least, or like 120.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not even triple digit. I was reading. We were having a conversation online, and it was somebody was just saying, because of the bad press, I just wasn't thinking about going to see it. Yeah. And it seems like that initial really bad press like kind of stopped people from going because
we had months. It was like back and forth too. It was like good press, bad press, like controversial stuff. It was just like talking about it for so long, and then I think it ending up just being like a so-so outing.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like the cinematic event of the summer for people. And I think that's what's really
I can talk about this more with Miguel when he comes back, because him and me both have thoughts about it too, and how it's just like, it seems like a perfect kind of formula for at least getting 100 million, but not even, it's still at 89, and it's
which I feel it will like eventually cross that, but I don't think I mean, it's not looking like it's going to get much further. That one already dropped down to 3 this last weekend. Yeah. Like, this was 3rd place. Right after it is Pixar's Elemental, which it's doubled its intake since last week. Like, it had a poor opening by Pixar standards with like a 35 mil or something, and now it's at 68. So people are seeing it.
It's the thing that Miguel was talking about. People are now trained to wait for it to come on Disney Plus. Like, I will wait a couple months, and then I can just watch it with my kids, where I don't have to get, I don't have kids, but I know how difficult it is to deal with.
Yeah. Well, look at Fast X.
And expensive.
It's already out on video on demand. Yeah. So, there is this kind of conception now where if we just wait long enough, some of these movies will just be available to stream, which is kind of a shame, because I feel like Pixar was kind of like the one thing about Disney for a long time that was the best thing about it. And the properties that they've come up with over the last 20, 30 odd years have been incredible. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we saw that new trailer for Elio, I think. Yeah. And you guys were just kind of like checked out. And I get it, I do. But at the same time, I was just like, it's a shame, because one of the good things about Pixar, at the very least, is that it's providing original content.
Yeah, that's true.
And they try to at least make original stories. And granted, obviously, they've had their sequels, and apparently we're going to be expecting more sequels for things like Toy Story, The Incredibles.
Another Toy Story? Oh,
another God. Toy Story. And that's a shame, and I think that kind of tarnishes its good reputation. But, so there it is. And then following Elemental, good old Asteroid City with Indiana Jones 5 this weekend.
Yes, the Dial of Destiny.
Woo-hoo. Are you going to see it, Luis?
I am going to see it. Yeah, no, and we can talk about this what we're into later on. But I've been catching up on all the Indy movies.
Hell yeah, baby!
Getting ready for Dial of Destiny. I'm excited. But I've got
my tickets for tomorrow night.
Oh, you do? Oh, you're ready to go. I can't wait. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear your review on it.
I've been increasingly getting more and more excited over the last few weeks, and like you, I've been revisiting Indiana Jones. Miguel and I did so the other night, as you well know, but we'll talk about that later.
You have it now. You have it pretty high on your list. You have it as number 3 on the box office.
I do.
I have it as number 7,
which is fair. Honestly, I think my Indy might have been a misstep, and I had The Flash right slap dab in the middle, which I think is a good choice. But I definitely, I'm starting to think that maybe, like Barbie, Oppenheimer might do better than both of those movies.
No, absolutely. I think the hype of like that internet meme culture really, like similarly how they did it with the Minions, that boosted things up. Think about Meg, the robot, the AI robot girl who did dancing, that popular too. This whole thing is really building up steam.
The fact that Minions guaranteed makes like $1 billion every time it releases a movie now, compared to Pixar, which is like has diminishing returns. You're just like, oof, buddy. But on the plus side, like if Barbie and Oppenheimer are as big as we are at least hoping they will be, that's a good thing for like original content. Hopefully,
it is. I wonder if this is going to be a tactic that studios use in the future. I mean, like a Sony or something, like, hey, let's double book this and let's force like another Barbie Oppenheimer experience to like get the internet.
2 like big name directors.
Yeah.
two big concepts.
I think this is lightning in a bottle. I don't think you can recreate this. Like this is very hard.
Weekend can come around. That weekend can come up, and then maybe they both flop.
Yeah.
How shitty would that be?
I know.
Just like, Barbie disappoints with 25 mil and Oppenheimer 15.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, that is scary.
I don't think that'll happen, but I'm just saying, it's just like, yeah, if the moment these two films are successful and they bounce off one of another, because I'm definitely working towards doing a double feature act. Yeah, which is what they're like literally actively promoting now. Just like, just go see them. Just go see them together. Both. Yeah, so I expect like half of the audience members in Barbie to have just come from.
You want to, yeah. It's like, hey, buddy, how's it going? You seeing the same screening? Like, just like this.
Just gotta wash it down. Got to wash it down with the pink and fuzzies. Like, I'm here for it. Yeah. So, well, there you go. That's a box office update thus far.
Great news for Asteroid City. I think I'm proud of those 11 million. I'm proud of every dollar.
I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah. I always want Wes Anderson to do well. I'm always afraid of that kind of reception. I don't think the French Dispatch did very well when it came out.
Right. It was that. Yeah, interesting. How that was like a little bit of a sleeper movie.
That was very much so.
We can talk more about that once we get to the discussion of
keep to track.
Keep on track. Here we go. But big news. We want to give a shout out to our girl, Rachel. Okay, Rachel booked Lois Lane.
Brosnahan.
Yes.
Oh, Brosnahan. Sorry.
Brosnahan. Obviously, we know her as Midge on this show, Marvelous Miss Maisel. Coming out, finishing that show, and then bumping up all the way, becoming Lois Lane in the new Superman Legacy. I remember when I first saw her in House of Cards, she played a role there, and here we are, and I think she's perfect for Lois Lane. I think she's going to be an iconic Lois Lane, and one that people will, I don't know, should be one of the top greats. And then, of course, we have David, who is playing Superman. I'm on a first name basis.
Corin Sweat.
Corin Sweat. Is that really how you pronounce his last name? That's really unfortunate.
I'm just throwing it out there. I have not heard anybody say it. But you and I know him, of course, from a little movie named Pearl.
Yes.
I was trying to think, like, where the fuck have I seen this dude? Oh, I just very recently saw him get killed.
He was good.
He was, what? Yeah, I mean, I think so.
I mean, we can see. Yeah,
tiny role. I mean, that's literally all I've seen him in. But he's devilishly handsome. We got to give him that. Definitely got the looks. He's got the chin, got the hair.
He was in 2 Ryan Murphy shows, and he was on Netflix. He was in Hollywood on the Netflix. It was like a Netflix show, and then he was on The Politician. And I just felt like, yeah, this is like somebody Ryan Murphy would cast. Do you know what I'm saying? Just like this.
Sure, totally.
Gorgeous chin, freaking like perfect, like humanoid. You know what I mean? And here he is playing Superman. Yeah, exactly. Playing Superman across Rachel, and I think it's superb casting. You know, I'm excited.
Well, we've been talking about it for weeks. Was this maybe the couple you were rooting for? If you were rooting,
this was the primo. This was the couple I was rooting for sure. You know,
I haven't seen The Marvelous Miss Maisel, to my, detriment, but I definitely, the moment they said that Rachel Brosnahan was up for the role, I was just like, well, that makes sense. She absolutely looks like Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the original, Christopher Reeve's movie. Like a lot of similarities, just like the dark eyes.
Spunk, you know what I mean? Yeah, that effervescent energy that she can make it. I don't know, and she's not just back too.
Exactly, she's not just like a pretty face kind of thing. She's got that journalistic look about her. Really, the only big question at the time, anyway, when they were talking about it, was just like, who is David? Corin Sweat, what have I seen? And then, obviously, I think a lot of people are talking about how Nicholas Hoult missed out yet again. But I think, I want Nicholas, if you're listening to this, man, take heart. take heart. You're not getting swept up in another one of these franchises. You keep doing your own little weird thing because I think that's so much better. Like,
I think so
I
too,
like
yeah.
Nicholas Hoult because he's becoming an interesting character actor. And
The Menu, The Great, Renfield, like just recently, like these are
The
like
Favorite.
weird, quirky. The Favorite,
Yeah.
like these are. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of potential, but he doesn't need to dabble in superhero movies to make it. You know what I
So
mean?
either. I feel
He
like
already did. He was an X-Men. He was the Beast in the.
and I didn't like him as the Beast.
You didn't like him as the Beast. That's
no,
right.
and so I feel like
That's why you were so against him initially, right?
Maybe, yeah,
Like
maybe these are good moves. He maybe out back to hate not liking him, but no, I like him now, and I think it would kind of weigh him down a little bit, I guess.
I think so
know
too. I mean,
roles.
look at Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill's like a super talented guy. I love him in Mission Impossible Fallout. He's such a beefcake now.
I liked him in that one movie, the Guy Ritchie movie. Was it the Guy Ritchie?
Oh yeah,
movie?
the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
good
fun
in
that. Yeah.
And he just never got his dues as Superman. He never got that moment. And, I wish like he had another opportunity, but such as it is now, he can move on and spread his wings and do more interesting stuff. Like, and he's about to leave The Witcher too, so
he's really like has a clean slate.
Yeah, like goodbye franchises, unless he's cast as James Bond, in which case he's just fucked. Not that I think he would be a bad James Bond.
No, I mean,
see it.
Yeah, I could see it too. But they probably want somebody younger, huh?
No, they want somebody older. They want somebody to have like a little bit of maturity to them. That's why like people were talking about Taron Egerton.
Oh, okay.
But it was kind of shot down as he was too young, kind of thing. But like the producers are actively looking. I'm not saying like old, but like more mature.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Most Bonds have come into the role like in their 40s, like 30s, 40s. So I think it would make sense. I think that just suits the character more. Nobody wants to see a teenage James Bond or whatever.
Right, yeah. I don't know the history of like James Bond in the casting, but it seems to me it's such a big role that you don't want a known actor to kind of outshine the character, right? Like if you have somebody like Henry Cavill who could play the role, but it would be kind of distracting to James Bond, right? Or don't you want kind of somebody who's like up and coming, or what are your thoughts on?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like Pierce Brosnan did Remington Steele before James Bond, and that was a very similar character. Timothy Dalton was more of a theater actor before he became James Bond, and he only did 2 movies, so I don't think most people refer to him as Bond, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because it is like a career-defining role. And Daniel Craig, I mean, he's definitely trying to break that mold.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
it's hard to say, but he came onto it in the 40s, and he was already pretty well established, but
not. Yeah, but he wasn't a blockbuster star in the sense where Henry Cavill is. Do you know what I'm saying? Where
yeah, absolutely. No, you're right.
He was in smaller roles.
So to that degree, yeah. I just think, if anything, I mean, I don't think Henry Cavill. He's played like Superman, which is just, I don't know. Could be just like a flat-faced hero. It's not like Superman could be considered the dullest.
That's how Superman was kind of portrayed. I think like you said, flat face. Like he is. There's a little bit more to him, but we just never got to see that part of it. You know.
But like you see the Man from U.N.C.L.E. and you're just like, oh, he's just playing Bond essentially.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah. I mean, yeah.
He has that edge to it. I don't know. It depends. Like you go too new, you're like, who the fuck is this? Like you want charisma. You want, a good personality. So I don't know. I guess I'm just saying I wouldn't be mad if it was Henry Cavill.
Right.
We'll just say that. But I do wish he had had his dues as Superman, because I thought he had the potential to be a good Superman. We just never saw it. So R.I.P. to him. But I am increasingly getting excited for Superman Legacy. I don't know what it is about Superman. I know he's like the joke of the DC superheroes almost. It's just like,
Well, I think,
oh well, he
yeah,
can do everything.
yeah,
But a part of me does want that kind of just jovial, light-hearted,
good-hearted. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, just like a good-hearted film, but that isn't just kind of like another Marvel movie or whatever. I want something unique
Hmm.
that's like makes Superman shine. And yeah, I thought Brandon Routh did a good job in Superman Returns, but he
Right.
was basically copying Christopher Reeve,
Yeah.
which is fine, but you also just want something in itself. So yeah, I don't know. I'm keen to see how this turns out. I guess like the next big things are like the villains and
Oh yeah, who's Lex? We're talking about the both Skarsgårds are in the
oh
race,
man,
right? Alexander and Bill.
and what about Nicholas Hoult too? Like what if
Oh,
they made him
oh,
Lex Luthor? I could see that.
I could see that too.
Yeah,
Whoa, I could see that.
like give him the villain role. Fuck it,
All
why
right.
not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Great villain roles here. They got the Skarsgårds and Holt. Yep, those are good options. Yeah, we'll put our hand on the pulse, see what's coming up with this movie. But we also got some trailers here.
we did.
More kind of like independent movie trailers. We have this one coming out on Apple TV Plus, The Beanie Bubble.
Yep. Which I guess is about Beanie Babies. I
It's
threw
like,
this in there.
yeah, it's not like exactly Beanie Babies, but it's like inspired, right? Because
Right, because they never really mention Beanie Babies, right? They just
yeah, and they
keep
don't look
calling
like
it
Beanie Babies. They
beanies.
look like weird, like cats or some sort of thing, or like dog animals.
Like,
But
yeah,
yeah,
one specific animal. But it's got Zach Galifianakis, Elizabeth Banks, Sarah Snook from Succession.
yes,
Um,
good
and
for her.
it's an Apple TV Plus movie, so I thought it looked just kind of like fun, like a not a caper movie, but just kind of like one of. They seem to be making a lot of these like behind the scenes of corporation movies, kind of like they had
Yes,
BlackBerry earlier this year. They
yeah,
had Tetris.
yes.
Not that I've seen either of those movies, but that kind of just like behind the scenes of this great
Air.
air. Yes, yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
exactly.
Yeah,
So I guess we're just going through the phase right now, but yeah, it looked fun. It had like a fun energy about it, and I always enjoy seeing Zach Galifianakis without his beard. I don't know why, but yeah, it could be fun.
it could be fun. It
And
reminds me.
it's
Yeah,
streamable.
it's streamable.
So,
It's going to come on July 21st on Apple TV Plus, and it does remind me of that like 2005, 2008, like the late 2000 era, like quirky kind of comedy situation thing.
definitely.
And in fact, it kind of, I didn't realize this, but yeah, flashback to the 90s and early 2000s. I feel like it fits the later 2000s vibe, but it is like a strange, funny, obviously Zach Galifianakis and Elizabeth Banks, them together, are really funny people. It seems cool. Yeah, it's streamable. It seems funny. Definitely a movie you could like throw on and have a good time with.
And it's a good cast of actors. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm cool about all of those people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they have another trailer called Drive Away Dolls.
Yes.
Yeah, this is by one of the Coen brothers, right? Directing this one.
Ethan, I believe.
Ethan. Yes.
Yeah. So Joel recently they've kind of parted ways directorially. Joel recently did the Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington. Now he's doing. Ethan is doing this Drive Away Dolls, which
You can now see which one does the comedies and which ones does the serious ones.
absolutely like
You know,
dark
like
and
when
gritty.
the Coen brothers do a dark and gritty movie, you know that's Joel, and then when you know they're doing the comedies, you know that's Ethan, who's like leading the thing.
I definitely, and watching the trailer, it definitely had that kind of Coen Brothers quirkiness and
Yeah,
humor to it. I don't know about you, but this was in front of Asteroid City
yes,
for me. And I thought I'm a Coen Brothers head.
yeah.
And so I'll try and see anything that they do together or not. So, but this one genuinely, I was excited for. How about you?
Yeah, no, me too. I think it's really fun and snappy, and it's got personality to it, just like any Coen brother
Yeah.
movie would. And this is, I think it fits that it rolled before Asteroid City, because
Yeah, totally.
before the iconic and Wes Anderson that we have now, I think the Coen brothers were not so to the extreme or to like as sharply done as Wes Anderson does his like physical comedy or like
But that kind of dry humor,
yes, the
like
dry humor and like the interesting angles and just like
totally.
it's like this like dark and comedic take of life, and so it was appropriate that we're getting to see this new tale about like he described it as a lesbian B movie, where
But you definitely get
yeah,
that.
where there are these it's a kind of a caper in this too, where they like take the wrong luggage as they're traveling through town, and someone's hunting them down because they took the wrong luggage, and so
Yeah.
now they have to
Let me
get out of
give
that
a
situation.
let me get the
Yeah,
plot real quick.
give a better
Um,
description.
Jamie regrets her breakup with her girlfriend while Marion needs to relax. In search of a fresh start, they embark on an unexpected road trip to Tallahassee, but things quickly go awry when they cross paths with a group of inept criminals, which is Coen
Inept.
Brothers all over. It's just,
Inept.
yeah,
Yeah.
inept.
Yeah.
Like, the best thing about Fargo is the ineptitude of the villains and just like
Yeah.
regular day people. It's just like everybody's an idiot in the Coen brothers' eyes, which I love. And it's got like a pretty great cast. It's got Pedro Pascal as kind of, I think it's not a spoiler to say, he's kind of like a victim to a bigger murder.
He's going to be
mystery.
there for like a few minutes, and then I feel like he's going to
Yeah.
be gone. Yeah.
But he's in a Coen Brothers movie.
I know. It's very cool.
Margaret Qualley, Annie Gonzalez, Geraldine Viswanathan, and of course, Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Just making a weird little cameo.
Weird cameo, yeah.
Coleman Domingo, Beanie Feldstein, Bill Kemp. A lot of great actors. So, but yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, check it out because it's a laugh, and that comes out on September 22nd.
Apparently,
in theaters.
Apparently, this may or may not be a trilogy too. Like he wrote this 20 years ago, or it's 20 years in the making, and he didn't expect it to be a movie. He was just kind of like for shits and giggles, and fucking around. Then he's like, oh yeah, this is actually we're gonna do this thing. So it could become a trilogy. It could not. Either way, it's cool that it's here.
There you go.
But there you go. That's the kind of our quick news. I think it's a perfect segue to go from Drive-Away Dolls into Asteroid City, another quirky little comedy by our dear friend Wes Anderson. What is this? His 11th movie?
11th movie, I know because I did a ranking today.
God damn it. I was thinking about it. Are we going to do a ranking? Should I just like quickly muster up a ranking here?
Do you think you can if I just talk bullshit for a few minutes?
I think I can. Here, why don't you give the premise of the whole thing, and
Absolutely.
I'm going to try to whip up a ranking in just like a few seconds.
No worries. Okay, so yes, as we just said, Asteroid City is the 11th movie from Wes Anderson, and if you're not a Wes Anderson head by now, you're not going to be. This movie is not. This movie is not going to change that. This isn't going to suddenly make you feel like, oh, I think I do like Wes Anderson, because it's completely just like utterly through and through. And I know it's such a cliche to describe as movies like this, but it is just a Wes Anderson movie. So basically, it's following a writer on his world-famous fictional play about a grieving father who travels with his tech-obsessed family to small rural Asteroid City to compete in a junior stargazing event, only to have his world view disrupted forever. And this is, as always, stacked with a great cast. It's led by Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks in his Wes Anderson debut, Jeffrey Wright, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton. Let's see, just looking at the regulars, you got Steve Park, Liev Schreiber, Adrian Brody's in there. Steve Carell, You've got Maya Hawke making her debut as well. Jake Ryan, Rupert Friend, who I secretly love. Matt Dillon. It goes on and on. Oh, and Tilda Swinton, of course. And yeah, so this.
Okay, I did it.
Well done. This, for me, if we're just talking about general thoughts, this was. I had a great time with this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I told you I had like a pretty solid crowd. There was like one woman in the crowd who kept gasping at every little thing, just like, oh! And then one guy who was laughing at every possible like setup for a joke. Like he was eating it up. There are a lot of moments where the audience as a whole was laughing, but he was like getting every possible punchline. So that was fun. It was light and breezy. It's like 1 hour and 45 minutes long.
Most of his movies are kind of that hour and a half. And
kind of short, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it goes longer, but it's usually short, yeah.
Especially recently, I was going to say, like, my biggest takeaway from this is, like, that maybe from Isle of Dogs, or beginning with Grand Budapest Hotel, he started to go into this multi-layered formatting of storytelling. And like even for Wes Anderson, it's kind of like avant-garde for him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So just like going a step beyond, and like it felt very much like a companion piece to The French Dispatch.
Yes.
To me, it's not an anthology, but there are multi-layers to the storytelling. It's not just about Jason Schwartzman's character going to Asteroid City with his family. It's about Edward Norton's playwright getting this play made, written or whatever, and casting it and going through the whole process to eventually lead to, I guess, like a televised version of the play, if you want to kind of like just lay it out. But that's kind of like the format of the storytelling, which through a lot of the reviews and critiques I've read, that is either going to push people away or people are just going to enjoy. But like it takes a moment to adjust.
It does,
certainly, and it'll go back and forth between these settings. So it really depends on how, again, if you're a Wes Anderson head, you're already kind of in for the ride.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not, it might turn out a little frustrating. But overall, I had a good time with it. Like on first and only view so far, I enjoyed it more than I did French Dispatch, seeing it the first time. But what I, again, as a Wes Anderson head, I've also accepted that I tend to like his movies more after second, third. Yeah, it's just like it just kind of opens itself up to you. So
that's the same. So I feel the same way about this movie. Like I feel like I need to watch this again because I was kind of like, yes, this is his experimental stage, and almost when you were explaining like the story within the story, he has a lot of these like shots where there's a frame within a frame. And so you have people looking at each other and there's a frame behind them and there's people inside that. And it's just kind of like in this endless thing. Yeah. And so it's almost, he's doing the same, how he would frame a shot with that type of, whatever shot. He's also framing storytelling the exact same way where you're having a story within the story and then the story that moves on. And so I feel the exact same thing. He's like, I feel like he's experimenting. He's trying something new, but then at the same time, he's also really honing in on his like style.
Yes.
His visual style so much, because when you watch movies like Rushmore, Life Aquatic, like his earlier one, Darjeeling, Royal Tenenbaums, like there's a lot of like roaming cameras motions to it. Yes, we have that dolly shot that the dolly shot that moves, and then it lands, and then it's kind of perfectly framed. But then there are these like chaotic shots where you're kind of this documentary, like shaky cameras, like as if something insane's happened and we're following that action. It doesn't happen a lot. It's just for like a bit of a glimpse of a moment.
Yeah.
But here it was super like it's flowing. It was like and more so this felt like a camera was its own character with the way it like swiveled, punched in, swiveled back, swiveled. It was like looking for these reactions of people.
It is very mechanical. As smooth as it is mechanical and methodical, I guess is more of a better way to put it. Kind of, I feel like almost from, like I said, from Grand Budapest, where it became a lot more artistically designed and driven. I feel like prior to that, most of his movies were, with the exception of Fantastic Mr. Fox, like grounded in some sort of real place. Like Rushmore obviously took place at a real school kind of thing. The Royal Tenenbaums took place in Brooklyn. And Steve Zissou, Darjeeling Limited took place in India. So, but like from the Grand Budapest, you've got this like,
it really felt like that was like
and it's just like
turning point.
And using the models like as a setting, basically, like going forward with that Isle of Dogs, the French Dispatch, especially, and he's using animation or animatronics a lot more, which is fun, honestly, because I love seeing Wes Anderson animation. It's definitely. Like I said, he's in a phase right now, I feel like. But it's interesting. I'm not like put off by it. But we're watching the evolution of Wes Anderson. It's almost like he's getting more of a budget. And so he's just like, well, I'm just going to do this. Fuck it. Whatever. Well, but Well,
what?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay,
no, you go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what did you think about, we've been talking about the framing and the technical aspect of it all and the style. Let's talk about story-wise. Like, what was your take on the story and the emotion behind it and things like that? Like,
so I think, firstly, I enjoyed it. It felt, I guess, like, specifically let's say the Asteroid City element. The story that takes place in color format is, I really enjoyed that. I thought, if anything, if I had to say anything, I wish kind of like we'd drawn in on that story more. There are moments where we cut back to the backstage theater setting, where it feels almost like it's like I want to be back in Asteroid City. If that makes sense. But because like what Wes Anderson does really well is kind of these like deeply flawed family relationships, and like at the center here is this family, Jason Schwartzman's family. They're going to this stargazing thing, but under the heavy shoulders that his wife just died, and he's only just telling his kids about it. So it's like that's the kind of like emotional core, maybe at the center of the film. And I feel, again, like I enjoyed it as a whole, but like I do feel like sometimes when he's playing with those formats, it kind of detracts from one or the other's storylines.
Right.
So like it's almost like we're taking the emotional gravity of one story in order to go back and kind of dabble over here, and then come back to the story. It kind of cuts it short almost, which is mildly frustrating. It was like one thing that I guess bothered me about the French Dispatch, but that movie is more of an anthology than it is an actual straightforward story. this one's a little closer to that, but again, he's playing with the formats, so you're seeing kind of like the creation of the story around the story itself. So it's just back and forth. Like I took Sarah to see it, and she was just like, I feel like a good chunk of it was lost on me because I don't know what I was supposed to be feeling, and I understand that. I feel like your emotional connection to the film can be lost in this back and forth. Yeah.
Sarah,
what about you?
You have your Sarah, and then you have my Sarah. My Sarah, she loved this movie, and she thought about the whole concept of just like loss of time and taking advantage of what you have in life, and that was pretty impactful for her as she was experiencing it. And then for me, I feel like I'm kind of like on Sarah's side. Like, first off, let me say that I love Wes Anderson, and he's like one of my top favorite directors, and I don't think any of his movies, like, we're going to do the ranking, and then you're going to be like, oh my God, how could that movie be last? And it's like, listen, this may be last, but it's not to say it's the worst, It's like,
not.
They're all the top, like, 5% here. Like, nothing, you can't be bad when you're in the top 5%.
No, I've never left, like, a Wes Anderson film feeling, like, betrayed or disappointed. I feel, if anything, I've occasionally felt challenged by his new approaches and his new techniques that he applies to his movies. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of his movies, whether people consider it his worst or whatever, but like he has this unique thing where for most of his movies, the more you see them, the more you like them, honestly. Like, I don't think a lot of people would say like the Darjeeling Limited is one of their favorite Wes Anderson films, but the more I see that movie, I love it.
Dude, I
think
that's
there's like, and like surprisingly emotional. Like the first time, I think it just kind of just went over my head, and that's fine. But because it's still a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
There's stuff to take away from it. I think a lot of people will go into Wes Anderson thinking it's going to be just full quirky comedy.
No, but you can hit all these with like dark, like serious moments of people processing the difficulty of life and,
raw human emotions. Like it's usually like this grieving of loss or, like family members died, or just like not having that familial connection, like in the Royal Tenenbaums, where Royal was just trying to get in touch with his kids again. It's just like it's every one of his movies will surprise you of just how poignant they can be, but sometimes you just miss it that first go around.
And I think it's and like I guess I want to see this movie again. I feel like there are things that I missed just because I was keeping up with the structure of it all, and I felt, I don't know, compelled. I was like, all right, here we go. I got to pay attention to everything, and maybe if I relaxed a little bit, I would have soaked it all in more. But I mean, the moments that I really liked about it, I really like these simple, like the kid moments, like the three little girls.
Oh my God.
Like when they were doing like their thing, and he was being confronted by the grandparent, Tom Hanks, and they were having that back and forth. I just think that that added a little bit of warmth to something that felt a little bit I don't know, not cold, but like just technical, like just having a little bit of that technical warmth. I mean, and so having like even like those younger kids helped out a lot too, because it added just like a little bit of uncertainty, unpredictability to everything that's so clean. And obviously I really enjoyed
seeing that Wes Anderson ness being reflected through kid actors. You know what I mean?
How does he do? I want to be on set.
How does he do that? Exactly.
How do you direct these things? Like, how do you
introduce that concept? It's just like, well, you're going to be a witch, you're going to be a fairy, you could be, this thing.
And you don't need to push. You could just say it nonchalantly. Like, just say it as it is.
Yeah, exactly. Don't act in so many words. But me and Sarah loved those girls for sure. That was one. I loved the super retro, like the whole setup of Asteroid City is a lot of fun. It's very like small but familiar. There was like they had like 7 vending machines lined up outside Steve Carell's office for all kinds of things. One of them, like one of my favorite gags in this film, was the martini making machine.
Yeah.
The vending machine, just like, oh my god, this is perfect. And of course, Sarah and I went and had a martini afterwards. But
Amazing.
it's just like, you gotta love the design of it. The contrasting blue and oranges of the desert, and
I love how he's able to find different palettes in these things. You know what I mean? And different environments. You know, you have underwater, you have hotel, you have college, you have, you know, camp yard, you have like everything offers its own world. And I was like, I appreciate the bold color palette move of it, like this kind of palish bluish pink, you know.
You know, you see those kind of those compressed barcodes of movies of where it's basically just highlighting the color schemes and the tones throughout the whole movie, compressed down. I would love to see one of each Wes Anderson film.
Yes,
just kind of like stacked.
Do that. That'd be amazing.
I'm surprised nobody has yet. You know what I mean? It's because like he was saying, like from all of these different settings of being underwater, or like the browns and yellows of Moonrise Kingdom, like just to see them all compressed
of Grand Budapest, pinks and purples of Grand Budapest.
Yeah, and now he's like playing with black and white and color too. It's just I think he is constantly at the very, like, within his own realm, just trying to mix it up, you know, and
and I just had the thought too of just a lot of these characters were questioning their place in the world at that moment, you know, and I think it's appropriate that, you know, we have an alien literally coming down, which is also hilarious.
Spoilers.
Go into that. Spoilers. Coming down, that was just such a treat and great, like, model design, character design of that thing, and then but anyway, like everyone is trying to find their place, from Jason Schwartzman losing his wife, from the grandparent trying to connect with the kids, from all the young stargazers trying to like find themselves. They may be geniuses, but that one kid is like, do you dare me to do this? Do you dare me to do this? It's like, why do you always ask to be dared? It's like, I just want to be seen and all these things, and everybody's trying to... Which was
like a surprisingly poignant moment where you just like don't really expect that. And, you know, he's like, oh, to go hug that cactus. And they're like, no, God damn it, no.
People are trying to find their place. Like, where do I belong? Where, you know, the what's her name? Tilda Swinton, like her character too. She's like trying to find all these planets and things like that. I just think taking that, now I want to rewatch it because I don't know.
I was very I was very just, I don't know, I just enjoyed this one. Like I was having a good time with it. I didn't come out of it thinking like, oh, it's his best one yet or anything, but I was just like, those consistent laughs. I got the major gist of what was going on. It kind of lost me a little bit at the end when they were doing that scene with
dream
Willem.
Sequence?
Wait, what was the dream sequence? The bit where they were talking to Willem Dafoe's theatre teacher, I guess. And they were all saying like, fuck me, I can't even remember. They were all chanting that one line.
Oh, you can't you can't dream if you don't go to sleep or something like that?
Right, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You can't wake up if you don't,
you can't, yeah.
But that bit like lost me a little bit.
You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep.
Yeah. But I, for all its oddities, I just found it, like, I really liked the whole, like, little side relationship between Rupert Friend and Maya Hawke as a teacher. And then just, like, the ever so, just, like, on the nose, but also totally Wes Anderson moment of that little kid singing that ballad about the alien.
There's
like,
a lot of there's a lot of like great moments, like there's a lot of like each like you said, the I forgot about her, like you have all these like little moments in between this big moment, which is also a little moment in front of the big moment of the play being made. It's just like a lot of like you go deeper, deeper, deeper. Which is Asteroid City. There's like 6 little stories you follow. It like you're right. It feels like in its connection with the French Dispatch. I feel like when he was writing the French Dispatch, this could have been one of those like articles in the French Dispatch.
Absolutely, exactly. It felt
and then
like
it just like became bigger, and he was like, "All right, let me build this out more.
I'm going to save this for later. This is going to be what that is." Yeah, absolutely. Like it was. If they had it in the French Dispatch, it would have been a review of a play.
Yeah.
That was going on in that town at the time. Yeah. No. And which makes me keener to see what I can't even remember the name of it, but he's working on another one that's going to be like a short film, essentially.
The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
That one.
Yeah,
it's like a short film. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's got what's it called? Our boy Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
And who else? We have Ray Fiennes and
thank God. I've been wondering
Dev Patel and Ben Kingsley.
Oh, so he's going like full British invasion here.
Yeah,
I like that.
on Netflix. Wow.
I loved Ray Fiennes in The Grand Budapest Hotel, and the fact that that man doesn't have an Oscar from that film alone is outrageous. But I'm glad that him and Wes Anderson are getting together again. That's great.
Asteroid City.
Anything else that you didn't like?
Yeah. What else was I going to say? I think we talked about pretty much everything.
I thought Scarlett Johansson was really good in this.
Oh yeah, I love the introduction of
Schwartzman.
Schwartzman, of course. Yeah, bringing him back. We haven't seen him in a bit. Like really taking on a role. I know he was doing a lot of like bit parts. Budapest, all that stuff. But it's good to see him leading again. And yeah, I love them. I love it when a new person gets brought into the family of Wes Anderson. You know, Scarlett Johansson now is part of that family, and then Benedict Cumberbatch will become part of that family. And it's just no, yeah, she did a great job too.
And you get, I've listened to like a lot of interviews coming out of like Cannes Festival and stuff, and it really does feel like an ensemble.
Absolutely.
Production. Whenever you're on a Wes Anderson film, it's just like
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, yeah, and that was like one of the more kind of like abstract moments where I was just like, okay, I get you. What, like, did we? I don't know. Maybe she was just on the lot for a day. You know what I mean?
No,
and they were just I mean, there's so many actors like you'd like to see paired with him, but the camaraderie of it all, like you hear these stories like on a Wes Anderson set, like on most nights they all get together for like a special cast and crew dinner, like during filming, cool. And it's really just like to bounce ideas off and just hang out as a crew and cast.
That's cool.
And I don't know, it's he's just one of those directors where you get good vibes and you'd like, I would love to be on a Wes Anderson set.
Absolutely. It's like a good, like his movies are like a good song, like it's good music. It's like you may not understand it, but it just like reverberates something in your soul where you just kind of like, I don't know. It hits all the right spots.
Yeah. It's like a bougie night out every couple of years when a Wes Anderson film comes out. Like,
I'm just impressed.
Sarah and I have gone to see the last two together in theaters, and I mean, we just have a good time with Wes Anderson. He's like, I can't believe just how much
he's a comfort director. I can't believe how much he's just writing like quickly. Like I was just surprised when I was like, wait. He just did the French Dispatch. He's doing another movie. Asteroid City. Like he is just
he's locking it down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I had like toyed around with the idea of it, I know it takes time, but he's not exactly the same, but in the sense he is a little bit production wise like Woody Allen, in the sense where Woody Allen had a very particular quirky set and had some truth in his comedy, and he would have quick turnarounds and he would write them too, and he had a voice, and he was just kind of this alternative thing that you'd go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And drawing like a huge cast of people each time.
Exactly.
And it's like you basically want to see those actors kind of spew out that dialogue, like Woody Harrelson dialogue. You want to see him, Wes Anderson dialogue. Yorgos Lanthimos is another one who we're going to be seeing with Poor Things, but he definitely has his own kind of language and structure in his movies, like The Lobster and The Favorite and stuff like that. It's very deadpan delivery.
But I think what Wes Anderson does is like, yes, we have these obviously directors with strong voices now, but he is not just that they share this comedic thing, and obviously but also his quick turnaround. The fact that he's writing them and it feels like he's just pumping them out quickly is also like, wow, that's just like, man, it's very admirable to like even come up with some of these shots and stuff would take forever. And he's just like, yeah, I can just whip them out real quick, you know? And
and I love his use of models lately, specifically with the alien, the freight train that brings us into this movie.
So good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's just playing around with that, it's been so fun to see.
I sent you that video article, that video, YouTube video about miniatures of Wes Anderson.
With that guy.
Yeah,
I watched it. Yeah.
You did? Yeah,
I did. Cool. I couldn't remember who sent it to who. That's why I didn't mention it. I did watch it. I did watch it. Yeah, I loved it. And yeah, like just seeing him utilize that from his experience with stop motion animation, and then bringing it into movies like this, and then with the French Dispatch, he had like a cartoon drawn sequence, like an entire sequence.
I was like, what is happening now? But I was all here for it.
But I loved it. I mean, that it was still very much Wes Anderson. Like, it didn't take you out of it at all. You were just like, oh yeah, well, naturally we would follow this chase scene in an animated moment. But yeah, I love it.
Is it time?
It is time. Let's do it.
It's time.
You want to just like run through all 11?
Let's do. I like doing the back and forth. It's kind of nice because it slows 11. Things down. I feel like if we do it back to back, it kind of like all becomes white noise. This is a personal list, as is to yours. I feel like he's a personal director, and just obviously there are movies that, as the culture will agree on, like these are his best movies. But you know what? These are the ones that just I like, and these are the ones that whatever. So here we go. Number 11, no judgment. My number 11, which is always like still great, and I love seeing this movie because it makes me feel okay. This is how he was when he started out, and it doesn't seem as crazy as it was. It's Bottle Rocket. Like you see him doing it from his early roots, you see where he's coming from, and it's not so like as a filmmaker or someone who wants to be a filmmaker, you watch like, okay, it doesn't seem too impossible to be like Wes a little bit, just to see it.
You see him laying the.
Yeah, he wasn't like he was now when he did the first one. Do you know what I mean? And so like that's comforting in that way.
It's like budget Wes Anderson. I'm gonna just go out and say mine's Bottle Rocket as well. Okay, it's a good starting point. Yeah, and it only got better from there, is really all you can say. Yeah. I mean, and that you could say that about a lot of directors' first movies. It's just like, first movie, cool. Yeah. Let's see where it goes.
Let's see what else it goes.
With Wes Anderson, like, from then until now, it's kind of crazy just how he's developed and become his own thing, which I love, So, all right, number 10 then.
Okay, number 10. Listen, and again, like all these movies are great, and
no
like,
judgment.
And I've already said it at the beginning of this podcast. I need to rewatch it, but yes, Asteroid City is my number 10.
Oh man, okay, well that's fair. That's fair.
It's fair. I know.
It's new. You got to work it in. You got to work.
I really want to rewatch it. I feel like I'll catch some nuances. It might move up. Yeah. This is a very fluid list. Okay, we're allowed to be fluid.
And maybe next time. Just come up with it on the fly.
I did come up with the fly. Okay, what's your number 10?
My number 10. This one I have only seen once, and I didn't catch it in theaters, but I do want to see it again. Is Isle of Dogs, his second animated feature. Yeah. I think when I did see it, like I appreciated the craft. I just kind of got lost on the story a little bit, and I didn't feel very connected. But again, as we've already said, is like a lot of his movies upon rewatch, just kind of reveal themselves in a way. So I do want to see it again, and I will see it again. I just haven't yet. So
well,
I love dogs.
funny enough, my number 9 is also Isle of Dogs. So just a little bit. Right. And this is the thing is like I bet I could rewatch Asteroid. Yeah. It could bump up a little bit. I could see it flow up. So yeah, Isle of Dogs. Okay, what's yours?
Yeah, well, is there anything you'd say about I Love Dogs? Or,
I think it's the same thing. I feel like it's the same feeling. Like I've seen it maybe like maybe twice, but I think we have these other stronger contenders that kind of take it. You know what I mean? So
I agree. So my number 9 is The French Dispatch.
Okay.
Which I will say, like, I enjoy more and more every time I see it. The first time I saw it, I did enjoy it, but it's one of those movies that's growing on me. And again, which is my favorite anthology story?
Yeah.
I think the first one.
The Benicio del Toro one.
Yeah, and Adrian Brody. I really enjoy that one. I like the second. I mean, I like all three of them.
Absolutely,
theoretically, but I think it's just the general nature of anthology movies to be divisive within themselves. The last Coen Brothers movie was The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which was a anthology, and like it's solid Coen Brothers all the way through, but it's like it's a roller coaster. You kind of like things, you don't. But that is to say that The French Dispatch grows on me more and more each time. So
they say on cooking shows when I watch them, they're like, you should never cook 3 different types of tacos or 3 different variations, because then you're competing with yourself. And now I have to decide which food I like better. And it's like,
as somebody who likes to cook, I do that to myself too. I'm just like, if I'm trying to make pizza, I'll try and make a variety, and then I'm just like, well, one of them is going to be better than the other. So I definitely relate to that. But as a whole, I mean, again, gorgeously looking and technically sound, like. Yeah, it's just one of those.
And also the movie where we get that song that everybody uses for TikTok and Instagram Reels for their life as a Wes Anderson. Well, funny enough, again, my number 8 is French Dispatch, so that would be mine.
All right, well, switcheroo. Asteroid City is my number 8.
Okay. Are we going to sync up on this next one? Who knows?
I'm curious.
All right, this one I think people would want to rank higher. Even now looking at this, but whatever. I'm going to commit to my quick 30-second ranking. I'm going to say whatever. I made it fucked up, but who cares? Because they're all fine. I'm going to say Life Aquatic.
Okay.
Steve
all right.
I know it's one of the top ones. I think.
I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think for me, just like it took me once the movie gets going for me, I start to enjoy it. But I think just that first bit is just a little bit. I don't know. It drags a little bit for
in the theater at the beginning.
Yeah,
when they're trying to like get going on the endeavor.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
But I still listen. I still take it. Okay, what's yours?
We'll talk about it more. Okay, 7, right? So my number 7 is Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay.
And that's not to be down on that movie at all. I love it. It's always like a fun watch. It always makes me laugh. And it's gorgeous to look at, furthermore. And I hope he does keep doing animated movies.
Animation, yeah.
For sure, yeah. Like, I feel like Isle of Dogs, I mean, obviously, from where I ranked it, it's not as good as Fantastic Mr. Fox, but that was just like a refreshing animated movie that didn't adhere to just like kids only or anything. And I grew up reading the book, Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. And so I was just like, what a fun and unexpected collaboration between material and director. I thought that was like, And I honestly, I would love for him to do more Roald Dahl material or adaptations.
I think this apparently this movie,
this upcoming one is Roald Dahl. Yeah, it's like based on his short stories, I think. But yeah, no, definitely Wes Anderson and Roald Dahl. Somehow it worked really well, and I loved it. Absolutely.
Oh man, let's get a redone of the BFG with.
Don't tempt me! Don't tempt me! Yeah, I would love
that. Maybe we'll get that when Wes is in his like 70s. Do you know what I mean? When he's like very old and he's like, okay, I'm gonna do
when he's Steven Spielberg's age. Yeah, he's feeling nostalgic. Yeah.
So my number 6 is Rushmore.
Good. All right.
I think it's just his coming of age movie, and I don't know. I have a good time with it. It's number 6. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is the Darjeeling Limited.
All right.
I think a lot of people have this generally pretty low on their list when it comes to Wes Anderson, and I don't get that.
I don't get it either. Obviously, I haven't said it yet, so it's already like in my top 5.
I appreciate that. I genuinely appreciate that. So it was again one of those movies where each time I saw it, I loved it even more. I remember seeing it the second time after years of having not seen it from the first time, and I was just like surprised at how moved I was by just the relationship between the three brothers, played so well by Adrian Brody, Jason Schwartzman, and Owen Wilson. I just loved that trio. On top of the gorgeous landscape of India and that whole vibe too. It surprises me every time I see it, and it's a little bit devastating too.
All of his movies have that little bit of devastation in it.
Yeah, but I feel like Darjeeling is definitely one of his darker movies. I feel like that one felt uniquely personal. I don't know, maybe just
absolutely
from how I read it, but it did. It as if it was his story. But yeah, and then that of course came with that little short film, The Hotel Chevalier or something like that. With Natalie Portman. But anyway, Darjeeling Limited. It's underrated for sure.
I agree.
If anybody's listening to this and you've only seen that movie once, check it out again. Because it has so much more to it, and I enjoy it more and more every time. So, anyway, your number 5?
Oh yeah, my number 5 is The Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know. Whoa, spicy.
No, hey. No judgment. No judgment.
No, the thing, this is just it gets become personal taste. What am I feeling? I like sweets, so you might see some sweets coming up.
Okay.
Royal Tenenbaums, I mean, it's super great, awesome movie, and I love the family drama
it wouldn't be Mendel Sweets, would it?
No, Mendel Sweets comes a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but I think this is such a great cast, and I think it actually feels. This is a pretty well-rounded movie, I think, where it's not too Wes Anderson-y, but then it also has moments when it kind of has a little bit of genuineness to it, which I think is what attracts to a lot of people. Obviously, it's it was quirky of its time, but there's a lot of genuine and real shit going on. I mean, it might be a little bit. Sometimes for some reason, I guess it might be a little too real. Maybe that's why it's too low, because I can't take it. I
get that it doesn't. It loses that kind of fantastical element a little bit.
Yeah. So
I mean, and that the fucking Luke Wilson suicide attempt is rough.
Yeah. It's things. Rough. This is. So, but no, obviously top 5 Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay.
What's your number 5?
My number 5, Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah.
Again, another movie where I was just I'm not sure how I feel about this, but then the more I saw it, I was just oh, now I get it, and it's beautiful. Sarah and I, this was the last Wes Anderson Sarah and I watched before Asteroid City came out. Because you want to get that
in the zone.
Fulfillment. Yeah. I love it. I love it surprisingly because of characters like Bruce Willis's character and Edward Norton's character. Like possibly Bruce Willis's best performance of the 2010s, but I really love him in that. And like obviously he's like retired technically, but to see him come back in a Wes Anderson film, it was a pairing you never saw coming. And I was just like, oh, that really worked so
Action
well.
star, Die Hard star, Bruce Willis,
with Frances McDormand, and then you've got
it's so good.
Tilda Swinton as social services. Edward Norton as the Cub Scout leader was great. He's so sincere. I love him in that movie too. And again, just like miraculously, all of these kids.
I know, man.
Just so Wes Anderson-y. It's just like it works so well. I love it, and then it just really meets that aesthetic of. You got the main kid. He's got that. What do you call those raccoon tail hats? But yeah, I love it. It's such fun.
He always has like these iconic like things, like the raccoon tail hat, the red hat from Life Aquatic,
Zissou,
Zissou, and Bottle Rocket. He's like, "Why are you wearing a bandage over your nose?" It's like, don't ask that question. Like, it's just what we do. Like they have like these like little things that like I don't know icons that they put on themselves, some sort of way to stand out,
In the Grand Budapest, it's everybody's wearing purple kind of thing. It's just one of those. The
girl has a the Mexico birthmark.
It's Saoirse Ronan. And it's just like super touching as kind of like a coming of age. What starts off as like a love story, but it's really more of just like a, like I say, coming of age story, and it's very sweet at its core. So,
I agree.
Of movies that surprises you.
My number 4, we've talked about it before, but don't put it in tea. Put it in my movie, The Darjeeling Limited. That's I think it's great. I love how in his movies he always comes up with these phrases. Like in this one, it's okay, let's make an agreement. We're gonna meet here every day. Okay, let's make another agreement. And then he has this guy who's like laminating all their plans, and they're trying to meet his mom. They're trying to connect together as a family, and they have this brother feud. I love the moment when you get to go back in time and you see how they're coping with their father's death, and they try to take the car. Just like this moment when you're like pulled outside of this environment and you're somewhere new. And then the whole, when they try to save those kids' lives and one of them dies, like it just takes a turn that everything is superficial. And then at that moment, there's a reality of the whole situation,
Finding out how Owen Wilson got all his scars, like the truth behind it, instead of like he says it's like a motorcycle accident or something. When he was actually trying to kill himself, right?
Yeah.
So,
Again, the look. You know what I'm saying? Like the bandage, like that was the whole thing.
The snake. You got the snake in the box.
I love it when they try to blow the peacock feather. They're like, everyone does it wrong. It's like, I blew mine away. I digged it away. I let go. So it's a good fun time, and it has that opening with what's his name just running, and then you never see him again.
Bill Murray,
Bill Murray, yeah. Okay,
and that's another we haven't mentioned, but Wes Anderson's famous cross sections of his the setting of his stories. Like we get the Royal Tenenbaums, Steve Zissou, we get to see the ship, but in this you get to see the cross section of the train as it goes along. Like I've always loved that about his stuff, and that was just an additive to that. But
absolutely,
yes. I'm glad. I'm genuinely glad that it's so high on your list, Luis, because
me too.
So many people, like I said, have it so low. I've got a lower than you.
I don't understand it. It makes
but no, it's a good one. Where are we at now?
Number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is Rushmore.
Okay. Oh wow, it's high up there. Good. Okay.
Yeah, I saw this one later on, like maybe after the Grand Budapest Hotel came out.
It was one of my later ones too. Yeah.
But when I watched it, I was just like, man, this is fucking great. Like it's really pulling in that kind of like Wes Anderson weirdness of like interactions with full-grown adults and kids, just having like adult conversations together. Jason Schwartzman, like, incredible. Never been better. Like, he's so good in that film. Yeah,
he just has like this look, you know. Tell me, where'd you get?
And Brian Cox is in this film. He's the headmaster of the school. It's such a wacky, fun. Just like to a certain extent, it's like you want to be Jason Schwartzman's character just because he has so much power within his school. It's crazy. But then the hilarious feud between him and Bill Murray later on in the movie.
I love how that develops. It's just like you don't really see it coming, like because you're like, oh, they like each other. It's like a son to him, and then there's like there is this feud that slowly begins to bubble and boil. It's like, wait, what?
From their affection towards this teacher, and like because like Bill Murray is like a full-grown adult. And he's like taking this kid's bicycle and driving over it back and forth, and it's great. I love it. It surprised me, and it's like, I don't know. Obviously, I saw it too late, but it was more of like I could see how this was like. It was almost like a declaration of Wes Anderson. Like Bottle Rocket was first, but this was really like leaning into that kind of. Those kind of characters, that kind of dialogue, that kind of world where those kind of behaviors are tolerated.
He's making plays that are like devastatingly difficult to make, and people getting hurt, like the war movie, like
the Vietnam film.
It's like
Bill Murray is crying in the audience, but it's great. As an early romp, I have so much affection for that film.
It's a fun one.
Definitely. Yeah. All right, you're number 3.
This is number 3. All right, number 3. The Grand Budapest Hotel.
All right. There you go.
I mean, so it's going to be crazy. These last 2, you're like, what? Those are your 2? But I mean, listen, very personal list. Grand Budapest Hotel, loved this movie. Obviously, we've talked about how this was a kind of a turning point for him, where everything kind of locked, stepped in key with this thing, where he really took hold of the miniatures, really took hold of the animation, really took hold of this like type of storytelling, aspect ratio. If things were a lot cleaner, and it was just tight and interesting and exciting. And again, another movie where an animal dies. Like I feel like he just like mistreats animals in all of his movies. It's like from Life Aquatic of like Jeff Goldblum hitting a dog to the dog dying in Moonrise.
That one broke me to my core. I was just like, hey, you don't do that.
Why you from Moonrise Kingdom to like that getting killed by the bow and arrow to the cat in Grand Budapest being thrown, like it's just like what is going on with this like fascination, like anyway, animal cruelty. But I mean, this
who was it who said recently, one director said that, Quentin Tarantino, he was quoted recently saying, like, the line I can't cross is killing animals in my movies.
And Wes doesn't just
Wes does not give a fuck.
No. You just did he just do that?
Did he just throw my cat up? Yeah. Oh man, like, but you know what? It's like when Wes Anderson's films get like, and not always, mind you, but when they get like person-on-person violent, it's just like hilarious, generally speaking. Yeah. Like, it's only when it's self-inflicted violence that it gets like, oh shit.
This gets intense,
But no, like person-on-person, no, that's but Grand Budapest was. And that was his most successful movie to date, technically. Like, it got nominated for Best Picture, I don't know about Best Director, but it won a bunch of technical awards, costume, original score. He beat Alexander Desplat beat Hans Zimmer for Interstellar that year.
Oh wow!
So,
I remember listening. I remember listening to that album. I will say I like that album more than the Interstellar one. Interstellar has like, a good song, has a good theme, but this album has a bunch of like.
It's just kind of relaxing too. Whereas Interstellar is just like blah blah. No, it's a great movie. So that's a solid number 3.
It's solid number 3. Okay, what's number 3?
My number 3, you had it a little lower, but mine is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
I know.
I have a great affection. I think this was probably my first actual Wes Anderson film, and I still find it outrageously. To me personally, I think this is like his funniest film. I love.
Oh, really? That's so. I love that that you say that.
I just it cracks me up every time. It's just like full on comedy. I feel like I love Steve Zissou's relationship with Klaus, with Ned. You got Cate Blanchett. God knows why she hasn't come back for a Wes Anderson film, but like I love her character. You got Angelica Houston as his ex-wife. We mentioned Jeff Goldblum as his flamboyant sea searcher who again hits a dog. What's his name? Cody, the dog, the three-legged dog, Cody. Biggest bummer of that film is when they leave him behind on the island.
I know. They're like, we got to get Cody, and everyone's like, no.
Goodbye, Cody.
Goodbye, Cody. I know. Goodbye, Cody.
It's and again, sad, like very deeply
because
affecting. Ned dies.
Ned, yeah,
and like this is when I feel it was like in the 10s, or maybe Fantastic Mr. Fox specifically, when he started switching to like original score instead of like different renditions of pop songs or whatever.
Yeah.
But it has a great soundtrack, and again, it has that great cut section of the ship. Like it's just like all the Wes Andersonness. And
go to a beach and play that album if you're like on a beach or what about like play that
bachelor
album.
Party and playing on the river,
dude. Yes,
that would be a great one, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I hold it dear. Maybe more so for nostalgia, but I do love that film, and so
it's a good one. I know. And
I would rock that outfit anytime.
Damn, we had Halloween. We could all rock it.
We should all do that. Yeah. So number 2, here we go.
Number two. This one.
I'm trying to think of all the ones you haven't mentioned yet.
I know. Me too. I was trying to think of yours, and I can't think of them. Okay. Maybe one. I remember now. Number 2. This one is like these two are just they hit me in the warm fuzzies, and maybe that's what I like. I want a warm fuzzy experience, and I enjoy just how it all comes together that way. My number 2 is Moonrise Kingdom.
Nice.
It's up there. I just like how the coming of age of these two little kids from two different places finding a connection some way, and then having to come back to reality. I think it's straightforward, but there's a lot of nuances in between, and it doesn't get too bogged down by, I guess, the Wes Anderson-ness of it all. And I think sometimes the kids get to, like you have somebody like Jason Schwartzman, you have somebody like, I don't know, Bill Murray, who can do that Wes Anderson voice really well. But then you have certain kids who don't nail it well. But and I'm saying that as a good thing, because it adds a little bit of variance, especially with that like main kid. Bruce Willis, we talked about him already. I love the parent dynamic of it all. I don't know. It just seems like a very maybe nostalgic to being a kid. Maybe that's what it is. That's what attracts me to it. But
it is very much in touch with like childlike emotions. Like the two main characters wanting to get married. You know, it's just like, no, I'm asking you, have you really thought about this?
Yeah.
Sister, you're not hearing me. Go over there and think about it for 2 seconds, and then you got a kid. You got a kid bouncing on a trampoline right in the background while they're talking about whether we should get married or not. Yeah, it's super.
It's like it's such a hard to come by, like those type of thoughts, because we're adults and we forget how it is because our memories are all bad, and so it gets lost. And here it's like, it does a good job of capturing.
Kind of lose your innocence. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that was my number 2. What's your number 2?
Number 2, it's the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
It's so, like I said, it's most successful, but aside from that, it is just it's beautiful. It's got like probably his best music to date, I think. Incredible performance, and I think this is why I have this and my number 1 relate so well, is because Ralph Fiennes is so fucking good in this. Like, the lead role in this is incredible.
Talk about somebody who, because talk about this Wes Anderson voice. He does a good job of kind of like finding nuance. Like, he doesn't just stick to that, and he does a good job of like.
He's still Ralph Fiennes, but it's more of like, it's more. I don't know. There's such poetry to everything he says, but then it's just like, oh fuck it. It's just those contrasts. It's like all this elegance and then this crassness. And
fuck it. And you don't expect him to be this type of guy who's like wooing these older women. And he like breaking out of jail, and he's like got this relationship. You know.
He has these like bursts of tantrums, but like, and then like again, like the story ends with tragedy, you know. And, but like it's such a well crafted film. And all its layers, like this is where I feel like his multi-format perspectives worked to an extent. You got Tom Wilkinson making a small cameo, Jude Law, all characters I would love to see more in Wes Anderson films. But it's kind of incredible, and that's I started getting growing an appreciation for the screen formats from then on. I'm just like, when instead of using it as a gimmick but as a storytelling tool, but I loved it. Can't get enough of that movie.
Okay,
all right, number 1, here we go.
I think I know our number 1s now, but my number 1,
I think
you know what? I didn't want it to be because he's a live action director, but Fantastic Mr. Fox is my number 1.
There you go.
I just think, I don't know. I wanted to give it a live action movie, but it kept being up there. I've rewatched this movie a lot of times, and it's just, I don't know. What can I say? I'm honestly out of words here when we're talking about these movies.
I know.
It's just, it has I think the messaging is, I don't know. It's potent and simple and effective, and I know storytelling can have a lot of nuances and a lot of depth to it, and I think for something about this, I just appreciate kind of the simplicity of it all and the tightness of it all, and so,
but also the intricacy of it all. Like, the animation is not easy, but it's so rich with detail. Like the 3 farmers. I love the 3 farmers. Just like the style of each one is hilarious. It's just like visual comedy.
And another time where they're dealing with death, like they are literally fighting this evil rat villain, and then he like shocks and he shocks and dies, and they have to cope with that. And then it's just like, also I'm a growing boy, and he's dealing with all these adventures, and it's like, hey, gotta settle down. You can't just be, doing crazy things all the time. And he wants to be a wild fox. And what does that mean, being like a wild fox trapped in a, domestic suburban life? And how do you balance those things and stuff?
Totally. And to what I was mentioning earlier about the strong lead performance, like George Clooney was casting him as Fantastic Mr. Fox was a stroke of genius. I just wouldn't have thought of it, but I love it. And then you see the behind the scenes of that movie, where they're getting the audio recording of them, like say when they're riding the motorcycle, but they're actually like on a four-wheeler. It's like George Clooney on a four-wheeler with the guys behind him, and it's just like hilarious to watch.
I didn't see that. Is that what they actually really did?
Yeah. He's just like riding on the four-wheeler, and they've just got like a boom mic over there, and he's just getting that audio.
Yes,
I love that. That's the best kind of animation. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you like acting it out and then putting it to the in this sense the claymation, I guess. But you should look that up. It's a lot of fun. Behind the scenes of Fantastic Mr. Fox. All right, so that brings me to my number one. It's the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yep, Royal Tenenbaums. Tommy, hit me, baby.
It's. I don't know why. It's like the Royal Tenenbaums and the Grand Budapest Hotel are kind of like the two tentpoles of two eras to Wes Anderson.
Yes. This is the first movie that I got me into Wes Anderson was the Royal Tenenbaums.
Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I'm sure like when it first released, I think it was like nominated for Best Original Screenplay and stuff, but it just kind of set the trajectory for his whole career, basically. But like, I know you hear things about his relationship with Gene Hackman on set, like it didn't go so well.
I actually don't know about this. I'd love to learn more about it.
Apparently they just didn't get on set, which is a shame, because I think this is like one of Gene Hackman's best performances. But like akin to Ralph Fiennes' character in The Grand Budapest Hotel, he plays it so brilliantly of Royal Tenenbaum. And you got Ben Stiller, you got Owen Wilson, you got Gwyneth Paltrow, you got, again, Angelica Houston, who's kind of faded out of Wes Anderson films, but which is a shame, I think, because she's incredible. But it's such a great cast of characters, and it's structured more in reality as opposed to a lot of his movies since then, which isn't like to say I don't enjoy the fantastical of Wes Anderson. If anything, I love that about him. But to that extent, it's just like the human emotions are there. It's raw. It's also very hilarious. Like, one of the funniest visual gags to me is them cutting to Luke Wilson's tennis match breakdown, and you've got the commentators talking about him breaking down, and it's like, and there's his sister. There's his sister who just married Bill Murray, and then there's his father up in the stands, sitting by himself, like nobody's sitting near him. Yeah, it just cracks me up every time. But yeah, all that to say, it's just like I don't think any of his other movies are lesser for it, but the Royal Tenenbaums really just kind of, I don't know.
It's a well-rounded,
peak. It's well-rounded. It's got all those isms. It's got Alec Baldwin as the narrator, and it's just like butter on bread. I love it. So yeah, that's it. The Royal Tenenbaums. Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think Miguel would be on your side on that one. I know he loves Fantastic Mr. Fox, so he'll be happy about that.
Especially as all right, well, let us know your, loving, or don't let us know. We don't. Who cares?
Keep it to yourselves.
Keep it to yourself. If you do, we'll announce it on the podcast. Okay, how about that? So yes, check that movie out, and then we're just gonna do a quick temperature check on this next thing. Secret Invasion. Obviously is the new Disney Plus series of Marvel. I mean, what'd you think?
I think it's accurate to say temperature check, because I didn't walk away from this first episode feeling a whole lot. More like, I guess I'm just kind of curious to see where it goes. And
I hope it doesn't spin and not do anything for a while. You know what I mean? And then get to the end. Because
if this is how it's going to be throughout the whole series, I'm going to be like, this isn't good. I felt like this was loaded with exposition, which is fine. I know they've been building it up as kind of like a espionage thriller, and they're kind of just setting up the groundwork basically, for the conflict that's to come. So
I just don't want it to be too on the. Sometimes I just feel like it could be too on the nose. Like
totally. I mean, that opening
that opening scene,
very on the nose, man. Yeah. And I get it. Like, if you haven't been keeping up with Marvel, maybe this is going to be like a stretch.
It's got to be a clever way. I mean, you're asking me to spend 50 minutes treating me like a drama. You're in the same camp. You're in the same camp as like a Breaking Bad, okay? And Breaking Bad takes its time to do things and to set a mood and a tone. And obviously, we don't have to go all the way to the sky with Breaking Bad. But what I'm saying is, we don't need to be. Let's find a way to set the tone and not beat it on the nose.
And the writing is fucking good in Breaking Bad. This one, again, you feel the exposition being pushed on you. You're just like, oh, by the way, this is everything you need to know in this whole episode in 50 minutes. I like Emilia Clarke. I like Olivia Colman. I feel like
Olivia Colman was great, I think, in this.
Yeah, I feel like Samuel L. Jackson is deliberately being kind of slow right now. I think that's supposed to be like misdirection. I'm curious to see how Kingsley Ben-Adir plays out. He's I guess the main bad guy in this. So yeah, I'm a big fan of his, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I feel like a lot of people are a little pessimistic towards the Marvel world right now, and that's fine. It's not it's not from nowhere. It's like been a rocky couple of years now, but I was like looking forward to this series, so I remain cautiously optimistic.
Exactly, same thing. I agree. Okay, cool. So we might talk about it again. I know Miguel watched the first episode, and if we continue watching it, we might just do like a season wrap.
Yeah, totally.
Something like that. I think real quickly we could just do what we're into, if you want.
It's just catch-ups, right?
Just catch-ups, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Luis? What have you been into?
Well, I know we're both going to talk about it, but I've been catching up on the Indiana Jones movies. 1, 2, 3.
Not 4?
I tried to watch the fourth one, and then I didn't finish it. I think after watching all those, and maybe it's a feeling that I was feeling was just like, man, I mean, yeah, these movies are great, but I just don't know if Harrison Ford should be doing any more of these movies. Like, I don't know. There was a lot of spunk. There's a lot of like energy that comes with Indy. And when I started watching the first few minutes of Kingdom Skull, first off, that car sequence where they're racing is pretty cool. Like, that was very energetic. I love some of those.
Yeah.
The frame, like, that was like, yeah, this is cool. This is the energy. And then when we got to Harrison, and it makes sense because he's the older, everything was more locked down and there wasn't this kinetic feeling, like, yes, the movie it wasn't like Jason Bourne in the older movies, but there was still some movement, and it felt a lot more stagey comparatively to the other movies. And because of that, it felt like, oh, we're losing a little bit of that energy and soul. And so it's just like, he's just a little bit older, and I didn't finish watching it. Maybe I'll finish.
Not even a little bit. He's a lot older. Like,
I know.
That movie came out nearly 20 years after the previous one.
So I might keep watching it just because I'm a completionist, and I'll just like kind of like have it somewhere. But I mean, the first three, great. I love how different of a genres they are. It's like the second one's kind of like this horror-esque body thing, and then the third one's like more comedic than I thought it was going to be. Like when I rewatched,
it is actually
last year, I was like, wow, this is like this buddy cop comedy of these two people bouncing back and forth,
right?
And then the first one's just so iconic, of like.
Can't get
epic,
enough
iconic
of the first one.
Action. Yeah.
Just such a talk about the perfect movie. Miguel and I did a quote unquote watch party of this of Raiders the other night. And it's just endlessly entertaining. Like the action scenes, everything. I rewatched the fourth one maybe like a month ago when I was already trying to get myself pumped for this film. So I haven't revisited since. I don't need to. I get it.
No.
And to your point, like, I think that movie starts off well and then it just gradually kind of loses itself to George Lucas. It just, it's just like there are so many moments where you're just like, what the fuck is going on? But all that to say, I mean, the original trilogy ended so perfectly.
Yeah.
Did we ever need to have 2 sequels? Probably not. I am
it's like you watch it and you're like, wait, is he still doing this? Like, as a person of this age, like moving
exactly. Like if they had done it in the 90s, that would have made more sense. But they just didn't.
Yeah.
But so I mean, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I always love going back to indie movies, and yeah, I did rewatch all 3 as well, and it's always such a good time. Like you said, it's such a fun mixture of genres, and you know, by the third one, they're really kind of just like leaning into all the fun that Indiana Jones brings to the screen. You know, you got great action, physical comedy. Like Harrison Ford is just so good in those movies. Like you really can't.
He's like, there's got to be a way
better
out.
Action hero that has not been. I would argue. I mean, he's so good. But yeah, I mean, and I think, you know, it's mostly nostalgia, but I'm like getting so pumped up for this last one. I want like a redemption somewhat from the last movie, just to like close it out with a solid note and then put it to bed, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I've been into. You've been into it too as well. But what else? What about you? Let's wrap it up with what you
talking about like getting ready for other movies. I've been rewatching the Mission Impossible series, which means I rewatched Fallout twice. I watched
love that.
I watched Rogue Nation once. I watched MI3 once. And then Ghost Protocol once. I still haven't seen the second one, and I really don't know.
Ed, you should watch it.
I need to. I will.
Anthony Hopkins is in it for a little bit.
No, I'm just like, but it's the one that everybody says is so terrible.
I know people say maybe I need to rewatch it, but maybe I'm really nostalgic.
When was the last time you watched it?
A long time ago. It's
Okay.
been a bit, but like I remember, I think it was my second DVD that I got. Like first one was Shanghai Noon, and this one was my second one.
Good combo.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I mean, maybe as like a little kid, I liked it, but I mean,
one was directed by James Wan,
John Woo.
John Woo,
right?
Maybe. Sorry, that probably sounds terrible.
I know. No, but I think, look, I mean, John Woo. I think, I don't know, like, is it perfect? No, but it's fun, I guess.
It's of a series. I mean, the first one isn't that great.
It's more soapy, you know what I mean? It's a more soapy take.
Totally.
But, I mean, look, if you want a soapy situation, then maybe I got to rewatch it too.
Have you seen Fallout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Fallout? Well, I've seen all of them.
No, I mean, I always feel like I'm the only one who fucking loves Fallout.
Oh, Fallout's great. Yeah, no, I like Fallout too. Yeah,
I think it's so good. Such a great movie. I could watch it anytime. Talking about Henry Cavill earlier, but like some of the best action ever. But that's why I'm so.
That last third act is so fun.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm just like, so because of that, I'm getting and rewatching. I didn't like Rogue Nation the first time I saw it, really. And I think that was due to marketing. I think they hyped up a lot of things that's
the one where he's climbing the building, right?
No, that's Ghost Protocol.
Oh, Rogue Nation is the one with the plane. He's like holding on.
And that's at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's also like when he supposedly held his breath for 6 minutes, but it was like in a super choppy scene, so
you don't really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, well, he's just. You don't know if he's actually holding his breath because it's all CGI. But all that to say, it's been fun rewatching those. I'm getting very excited for the next Mission Impossible.
Reckoning, or whatever.
Dead Reckoning Part 1, which from early accounts has said it's a good Mission Impossible movie. It's a good standalone movie as well as a setup for a sequel, which is going to have a part 2, obviously. So yeah, it was just good, interesting to go back and rewatch MI3 and stuff like that.
Oh, right, so. MI3. Yeah, that was the comeback. Yeah, no, you know what? I'm curious to see what you think of MI2. I know it's it's soapy. It's dramatic. It has it could be overindulgent.
That'll be my homework for between now and next episode.
It's like a thing in its own world. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't really connect to anything else. It's like a weird one-off. But I'm still curious to see what you think. No matter what, you can always expect a mask to be in the, a fake mask.
I hear that one has the most masks of all the Mission Impossibles, so I can't wait. Yeah. No, I should, just to complete the franchise. And then, if anything, that one can lower my expectations right before Dead Reckoning.
You could be like, all right, I'm ready for a good movie now.
Yeah, exactly. Because Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise has been a great team up.
Great. Yeah, no, totally. It's been amazing.
Yeah. So that's it. That's really all I've been watching.
Well, Ed, thank you. I feel like we try to keep it short, but what can we say? We love Wes Anderson, and we love talking about him.
And we had a quick ranking that we couldn't really commit Miguel to.
I know, exactly. So it kind of... it worked out in that way. But next week, we're going to talk about Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. Tune in for that. Watch the movie so you can follow along. Do your homework. Please, for the love of God. We're going to do Dial of Destiny next week. We're obviously going to talk about the news, what we're into. But until next time, it's been me, Louis G, and with me has been...
Eddie B.
That's right. And until next time... what are we going to say now? I feel like we have to change it up, right? Until next time.
What's a Wes Anderson thing?
I don't know.
That one, yeah. Later,
until
kid.
Next time. Until next time, later, kid. We'll think of something. All right, bye.
Yeah. Bye.